Rocking with pettyblog.com.
It's your boy Snoop D-O-double-G, and you are now watching the Petty Blog.
I can't be on the Petty Blog.
Petty and T.
Petty.
Child, grab your snacks, get comfortable, and turn your volume all the way up because the internet streets are completely short-circuiting over an, in case you missed it, backdoor industry layout that has finally reached its official legal conclusion. Now, y'all know I love a good forensic court breakdown. But what we are looking at today is a highly sensitive, long-awaited legal update that has the entire public sphere debating the structure of criminal sentencing guidelines. And baby, the math is entirely not mathing for a lot of people watching the feeds. We are diving deep into the official court resolution for former internet model Courtney Clenney, also known online as Courtney Tailor, regarding the tragic April 22 jabbing incident that resulted in the passing of her boyfriend, Christian Toby Obumseli, inside their luxury Miami, Florida apartment. Now, before we get into the exact legal mechanics of this paperwork, we have to address the complex cultural layer hanging over this entire situation, because right is right and wrong is wrong. The internet streets have long memory banks, and people have pointed out how the deceased frequently used his platform to speak against dating within his own community, consistently dismissing melanated women every single chance he got while praising the exact aesthetic type he was attracted to, the very type that ultimately ended up unaliving him. But honey, put the narrative on a dynamic clock, because regardless of his past problematic statements, he still absolutely deserved complete, undivided justice. If he knew better, he would have done better. And a person's misguided dating biases should never excuse them being erased from this earth. It is incredibly important that the justice system serves its proper function, because at the end of the day, who wants to put an unaliver back on the public streets so quickly? Especially when historical data shows that individuals who exhibit that level of volatile behavior can potentially repeat the offense at some point down the line once they are fully released. For more than 4 years, this case has been locked in an intense legal game of telephone, with competing narratives dominating the media headlines. The defense camp spent years preparing a heavy battered spouse syndrome argument, gathering historical text messages and documented physical fights spanning from Austin to Dubai to establish a self-defense framework. Meanwhile, the state prosecutors stood 10 toes down on their evidence, painting a pattern of escalating physical aggression from Courtney, including previous viral security footage of an elevator altercation that took place months before the fatal incident. The entire matter was scheduled to finally go before a jury for a major trial, which carried a maximum potential penalty of up to 30 years in state prison. However, the legal clock took an immediate, dramatic turn inside a Miami-Dade courtroom on August 10, 2026. Roll the tape on the official court docket, because Courtney Clenney officially accepted a negotiated plea agreement, pleading guilty to a reduced charge of manslaughter with a dangerous instrument. The judge adjudicated her guilty and officially sentenced her to 6 years in state prison, which will be followed by 5 years of reporting probation. As a strict condition of her eventual release, she is required to complete comprehensive mental health and substance abuse counseling, and if she violates any part of her probationary terms, she faces up to 3 decades behind bars while waiving her right to extradition. Now, honey, the moment that 6-year number hit the viral broadcast, the comment section completely erupted with confusion, with people asking how a case that started as a top-tier felony charge resulted in such a short window of time. To understand why she received 6 years and why the legal math indicates she could realistically be back on the internet streets in less than 2 years, we have to look directly at standard Florida state judicial procedures and the concept of jail credit for time served. The law must apply mathematically regardless of public opinion. Courtney Clenney was arrested in August 22 and was consistently denied bond, meaning she has remained continuously incarcerated inside a Miami-Dade detention facility for exactly 4 years to the day of her sentencing hearing. Under Florida state law, a defendant is constitutionally entitled to receive full day-for-day credit toward their prison sentence for every single day they spent locked up awaiting the final disposition of their case. When you take her 6-year total sentence, which equals 72 months, and subtract the 48 months of time served credit she has already accumulated behind bars, her remaining balance in state custody drops immediately to just 24 months, which is exactly 2 years. I know she ain't in court laughing like something is funny. The internet streams went completely wild when footage from the legal proceedings hit the feeds because Courtney was actively captured on camera, smiling, smirking, sticking out her tongue, and making exaggerated mockery kissy faces right from the defense table. Now, the records show she was trying to blow kisses to her family and her legal team sitting in the gallery before the judge walked in. But to most public observers, it looked like an absolute mockery of the gravity of this entire case. It was a deeply troubling, narcissistic look that completely short-circuited the comment section because people felt her playful behavior showed a total, remorseless lack of respect for the loss of life. But honey, put the narrative on a dynamic clock because the public's outrage runs even deeper when you look back at the actual trail of evidence leading up to that fatal April night.
She seems to be performing. She hadn't done anything yet. So it seems like she was planning on doing something and she wants these people to know, I want to be exonerated.
Now, the state prosecutors absolutely had access to all of these viral videos, the elevator altercations, and the toxic history. And they spent years using those threats to back up a second-degree murder charge. But we guess when it came down to the final hour, the legal system decided to bypass a risky trial layout where a jury might have bought into the defense's self-defense arguments. Instead of pushing for the absolute maximum based on her documented behavioral patterns, the state compromised on a reduced manslaughter deal to secure a guaranteed conviction, leaving the public heavily analyzing how someone with a visible trail of escalation gets to secure the plea deal of a lifetime, while the victim's family carries the permanent burden of the loss. But child, the timeline can potentially shrink even further due to institutional good behavior incentives. In the state prison system, inmates who maintain clean disciplinary records can earn regular game time deductions, which can legally shave up to an additional 6 months off the back end of that remaining 2-year balance. This is exactly why her legal defense team publicly estimated her actual remaining stay inside a state correctional facility will likely land right between 18 and 20 months total before she transitions onto her 5-year reporting probation layout. It is incredibly important to note that this plea agreement was not a backdoor layout executed in secret by the defense. The Miami-Dade state attorney explicitly stated on the record that this exact resolution was reached in full consultation and with the absolute structural approval of the deceased family. The state prosecutors emphasized that the family long sought direct accountability, and by Courtney standing in front of a judge and entering a formal guilty plea, she legally accepted full, undeniable responsibility for his passing without the family having to endure the deep emotional trauma of a prolonged, graphic public trial. His mother addressed the court during the emotional hearing, describing the day of his passing as the absolute darkest day of her life, losing a compassionate, kind-hearted son to someone he completely trusted. The legal team representing the estate also noted that the civil litigation side of the matter had been fully resolved and dismissed with prejudice months prior, allowing the family to officially close the legal chapters of this tragedy and focus entirely on carrying his memory forward. This case has been one of the most polarizing and heavily debated internet stories of the decade. And now that the criminal justice system has officially stamped the final numbers, the public is left analyzing the reality of plea bargaining versus trial risk. Both sides have officially spoken. The family has received their legal admission of responsibility, and the state has laid out a strict multi-year probationary shield to monitor her behavior long after the prison gates open. This is the raw, unvarnished, factual layout of how the case concluded inside the Miami jurisdiction. Flood the comment section right now with your analytical thoughts on this legal breakdown. Do you think a 6-year sentence with 4 years of credit served represents a balanced resolution for a negotiated manslaughter plea, given the severity of the jabbing? How do you feel about the structure of time served credits when it comes to individuals who commit an unaliving? Hit that like button, share this broadcast across your feeds, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another in-depth breakdown from the internet streets. I am going to wrap this up and catch y'all on the very next video.